We'll next go to Gayathri, and I have been knowing Gayathri ever since I got this idea about writing a case on LabourNet. So Gayathri, please talk to us about the LabourNets, the various, I think, journeys that you had gone through. And I know that you are a very good person also to tell us about the for-profit, the not-for-profit, and the hybrid models, because LabourNet, I guess, has tried all of them, and you have seen the challenges and the promises of each of them. So over to you, Gayathri.
Yeah, so morning, I think what he's basically said is, I don't have a entity, a highly confused human being. So I'm glad that, 200 plus people want to listen to a confused individual. So let me first start with, I was listening to Professor Mukherjee and I was terrified after a slide, did I do the right thing or not? But philosophically, I feel don't think too much. Sorry, yeah, that's your job. If you want to get into something action, then I think just jump in. My simple philosophy is jump in from 100th floor or 50th floor, the result is the same. So jump in and we'll figure it out, okay? That's one. Second, on a more serious notice, I started with the developmental sector. I started thinking I'll be a researcher, but as I said, confused human being. While I was doing my PhD, that was my first run-in with the entity. We set up what we call a grain bank. In those days, grain bank wasn't there in 1994, and that is how I really got involved in saying, what does it take to make money? Somebody has to make money. I need to know how to make money to ensure that they make money. Post that, life happened, family happened. I couldn't live in a village. Moved to work in the UN. And so I worked a lot with ILO. Primarily, I worked with ILO, actually. For 8 of the 10 years, I worked with ILO. And I found that, we are brilliant people writing policy documents. Nothing, every country would ask, they would say, please send from South Asia. So that means the entire South Asian, right? I'm talking of the Bangladeshis, Pakistanis. So I used to handle this region. We wrote on employment. We wrote on vocational training. We wrote on primary education. And we said how we should solve the problem. And then we would have meetings with important people, secretaries to government, ministers, everybody. And at the end of it, you will have it was called an assessment. So you will assess yourself and you'll say you could have done better. Like, what am I doing with my life? It was a good job, great salary, great childcare opportunity. My children were young, I had a lot of time, could advise and not do much. So that was my, so anybody who's young, has young children, please, your job is the UN. I hope it's not recorded to here, okay? So,
it's on Facebook Live.
So, sorry about it, but I think that was my learning. I apologize to my Annadata, but that was my big learning. Then I decided I must do something with my life. One of my, moments when you think through, and came to Bangalore. I figured that I should do what I know, which is vocational education and employment, which is what it is. Maya was an organization which I used to know, so I said, why don't I go in there? I entered in there and found, boss, I've just jumped in. I didn't know what I'm supposed to do, said solve informal sector problems, and we had picked construction workers. Money in the bank is 10 lakhs. I was dealing with 40 million US dollars. I'd come down to 10 lakhs and I didn't know where to start. And that was my first problem. So don't be apologetic. If you have finance problems, it's serious. That's survival. Theory is we'll get it to work. We have to figure out where the money is coming in, Is the problem a good problem to solve, not a problem to solve? Who pays? For profit, not for profit is entity. So in those days, what is it that I was trying to look at? As I said, vocational education and employment. So that is informal sector workers are there. they don't get the correct wage. You know, we could be in agriculture, you could be in construction, we picked construction. So we said, there are exploitators, there are labor contractors, we will connect work to worker. That's what we started with. And, you know, he was, so between Satwa, Krishna and Saurav, they've seen me crash it. You know, we crashed the model. It didn't work. We assumed that we were solving a problem. The worker did not want our intervention there. So we turned it on its head in 2011. This was 2007 to 2010. Thanks to Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, American India Foundation, and you know, a couple of others who helped us out at that point of time. We looked at what models that can be there. And those models, we said, this is working, not working. So used grant funding, and we actually took investor money. So Grassroots Business Fund gave us money. 2010, I realized this money is, you know, the investor expects returns. We're not, again, 2010, I'm back to 10 lakhs in the bank. 2007 start, scale it up to 3 crores, again back to 10 lakhs in the bank. What do? You're like, so I told Harold, please take the money back. Thank you very much. Don't want to lose your goodwill. Let me go and figure out how to get this right. 2011, redid the model and launched it again. And I think today I'm happy to say that we've, you know, between the group of entities that we run, we're about 100 crores. We are profitable. It's the second year running, we're profitable. Does that mean my problem is solved? No. I still have the money problem. Cash flow. Now, the damn thing in P&L will show. I was just telling somebody at, unfortunately I didn't do business, so I didn't know these acronyms, you know. So with the investor, my simple goal used to be simple. Don't move from valuation that you want. So they all thought I was a tough negotiator. It's because I didn't know how to read the number behind it. The logic didn't apply. Just stick on a number. And you know, I had the weight to sit on it, so I just sat on a number. So that was really what is, I mean, where I'm coming from is, objective has to be very clear. For us, real income increase for the worker was the objective we were going for. Model did not matter. First model didn't matter. Second model seems to be working. Now we are in the transformational model of moving it one level up. We are outright a staffing and entrepreneurship. We will be building it. So the end for me is, can I ensure 10% increase in the real income, which is not inflation-linked, irrespective of sector? That means every community we operate in, every sector we operate in, we have to hold ourselves accountable to a livelihood index or a sector index. I work in construction, I have to have a sector index. I work in Hosur, I have to have a livelihood index. So if there is 70,000 population, for that population, what have I done to ensure that the wage increases? That's what I have to hold myself accountable for. So impact measurement is what you set out for yourself. But it needs to be measurable, it needs to be quantifiable for the other person to understand it. Where revenue or grant will come is something you have to do constantly. If somebody comes and, you know, it's been at least my limited experience that I don't think you can ever go away from fundraising, be it grant or for profit. I don't think that's your main job. If you're an entrepreneur, that's your main job. To get money in, that's your main job. Second, I was reading about hiring talent. I think I've been very fortunate to get exceedingly good talent at all points of time. And exceedingly, you know, as I said, I crashed the model. So when I went back to one of the co-founders of TeamLease and said, you know, you should be doing this. He was in Manipal. And, you know, he was a guy who was dealing with formal sector. He came in and became a co-founder for LabourNet. And we've been able to change it around. The current leadership team has the who's who in industry as the leadership team there. One of my big lessons is, for an enterprise, you shouldn't have your replicas. have people who complement your skills, not people who are going to be just like you. That skill set you bring to the table anyways. Second big learning is some people will be with you for a long term. For others, it's not good for them to be with you for a long term. So what is right for a 10 crore enterprise or a 1 crore enterprise is different from what is for a 100 crore enterprise, is different for what is going to be for a 500 crore enterprise. So for everybody, it's a learning curve. For the team, you may have to have a different team there. And I think we shouldn't be scared of that. And that's another important thing. The third is they need freedom. If you're going to get senior people into your team, they have to be equal. Their views have to be heard. That means, what are the skill sets that you don't have? I took one of my skill sets which I don't have, which is reading the Excel sheet. Be it balance sheet or Excel sheet for MIS, I don't have that skill set. So I need someone who has that skill set, but with scale. I don't want the person to have done something which is my scale. I want them to come from people who have done 100 times the scale, because they have to grow LabourNet to 100 times that scale, which means that you have to have the ability to work with that. Long term, I will completely agree. I don't know, to investors, we always say there's an exit. I'm supposed to say that. So I say that. They say I want 18 or 20 IRR. I say, okay, fine. Like, dekha jayega. Life will figure it out and we'll do. But, we have to commit. You can't say, you give me your money and I will not commit. Money comes with strings. Nobody, whether it's grant or for-profit, it cannot be that you don't have to listen. You take money, learn to listen. Simple, okay? We have a child-parent relationship. I tell my kids the same thing, Sorry, you're my kid. Listen. You will have your day. So investor is the investor, you have to listen. So let's listen to them. You need right investors is correct, but there's never a right investor, That's my experience. Sorry, Naga, you're right next to me. But, we all live in families. We have to adjust. So you have good, bad. You'll say something. They'll say, but treat them well. They're your mother-in-law. Treat them well. They're nice people. Figure it out. Then, so I'm just going by the last slide of Saurabh so that we can, the last is, what should you do? Activities can be various. Objective has to be one. You could say it's product, it's service, whatever it is. Your objective of how you reach that doesn't matter. Has to be ethical. Beyond that, how you reach that doesn't matter. You'll find ways. And I think the biggest lesson I've learned in the last 10th year, this is the 10th year of LabourNet, is just be open. If agriculture makes sense, jump into it. Somebody will tell you, do only construction. Why? Larger companies don't do it. Why should I only be doing what I'm perfect at? I should do what is imperfect and which is going to give me mileage to my objective. That's important. So I think, I'm happy that I'm this side today. Tomorrow I may be on that side. So, we can talk, and at best I can share what all mistakes that we've made, and figure out what are the ways in which we can, help each other. I think that's the loneliest thing is, it's a lonely journey. That's the universal truth. That's your experience, that's my experience, and we can possibly share, it's like the temple. You go there and say salvation has to come, and it will come sometime or the other. Thank you.